Hey guys, it is Ben from BensGameTime here, and I wanted to discuss the ABC News's report on Gamergate. And so I'm just going to be driving around GTA 5, no violence or anything really, because that's what they would want. So let's move on. So the news piece on Gamergate. ABC News did this story on Gamergate, and it's on YouTube. I don't recommend watching it because that would give them support, and they don't deserve it. So I can tell you already though that most of the comments are negative towards the report, and they have over 20,000 dislikes and not even 1,000 likes. So people really don't like this video. And so basically what they did was they talked about Gamergate, but they didn't talk about how it's about ethics in journalism, which is the ironic thing, I guess. You know, the whole Gamergate issue is about ethics in journalism, yet they make claims and tell the story completely incorrectly and arguably unethically. So basically they got Anita Sarkeesian, yep, they got her, and one Brenda Wu as like interviewees, and so basically they just spoke out about the harassment they got online, which I don't approve of the harassment at all, but I don't approve of this report because they made the Gamergate issue seem like a sexist like thing within gaming, how gamers are these monsters that only approve of other males. And so and they, in the one part in the video, they do show an example of a girl just gaming and guys just making jokes at her, you know, but they seemed innocent enough, you know. But, I tell you what though, that they took the example of trash talking and made it such a big thing when it's just trash talking, what those guys were saying. If you saw the video, basically they were just joking around and whatnot, but it wasn't anything like serious though. So, but they make every little thing that involves a female in gaming as this huge thing where basically it's horrible how the male demographic treats them. Gaming is creating this grounds of evil and it's sexism, when in reality we're just here to play games, that's all. And there's a lot of bad apples in everything, in gaming as well. There's gonna be people that are gonna make comments, and trash talking is just a part of the game. Guys will say things to guys, girls will say things to girls, guys and girls will say things to each other. Trash talking is no real big deal. It's just that when it happens in gaming, it's just this big problem. And so I just want to say that I do not approve in any way of how the mainstream media, I really hate how the mainstream media, in fact, I don't like to use the word hate, but I really do hate it, how they portray gaming, because it's very one-sided and they only show the negative. You never hear about gaming in a positive light. Whenever there's an accident, like a school shooting or some incident like that, they'll say, oh well, the perpetrator, he played video games, he played Call of Duty, he played Grand Theft Auto, video games are the problem. When in actuality, no, those aren't the problem. They aren't at all. There's no direct real cause and effect from video games and real life violence, and there are studies that prove that some do, and some studies will prove that video games don't cause real life violence. Others say they do. And honestly, I don't know which side it's done fairly. I'd like to believe as a gamer that the side that says that that games don't cause violence in real life, I'd like to believe that side, and it seems credible enough, but the media never says anything good. Uh, One example of the of video games doing good is the charitable events. Awesome Games Done Quick, they raise money for cancer just by playing video games really fast, you know? So that's a really good thing. So gaming can do good things like that, but they don't report on it. They just say, oh yeah, there was a school shooting and the guy played video games. That must be it. Or, you know, video games show depictions of this or depictions of that. And I just don't like how the media makes it evil. And I don't understand why there has to be a special, like, little window, special looking glass, if you will, under gaming instead of all the other forms of media, books, movies, music, TV, etc. They don't get scrutinized. They don't get examined like games do. With games, I feel like the media is trying to find every single little bad thing in it, whereas it's the complete opposite. They're trying to find pretty much anything good with all the other things. Just as an example, and I don't disapprove of this particular work in any way, shape, or form, but at the same time, I've never read it, and I don't plan on seeing the movie version of it right now. But 50 Shades of Grey, you know, nobody's really talking about it. You know, like, I see news, and I'm not only saying, like, mainstream media as in just ABC, CNN, Fox, but I also, I also talk about it in the way of the entertainment-based outlets, the E-Newses, the Access Hollywoods of the world. You know, they don't cover games. We have a special department of journalism for that, and even then, they aren't 100% ethical, and that's what Gamergate was about, was the ethics of games journalism, not this whole commentary on the sexism of video games, if there is any. And so, anyway, getting back to the point, you know, that particular work, that artistic piece of work, you know, I will say that 50 Shades of Grey is artistic, just like how any other movie, like Star Wars, Rocky, all these great films, they are artistic pieces of work. And music is also artistic. Books, artistic. Movies, TV, everything is artistic. Video games are artistic. They convey a message. They give you the thing to leave with. You know, whenever I play a game, there's something that I experience in it and something I can take away from it. So, you know, nobody in the mainstream media really scrutinizes it, saying, oh, it's a sexist piece of work because you know, there's sex depicted in it. You know, nobody complains when there's an R-rated movie that shows extreme violence. You know, it's like, oh, there was this R-rated movie, and there was a scene where a guy, he was thrown into a helicopter's blades, and then you saw his spine get ripped out in another scene. You know, it's like, because there's a rating system, and that's the thing that they don't ever talk about when it comes to gaming, is how there's a rating system, just like any other piece of work. You know, there's parental guidance stickers on music, there's DVD and movie ratings, you know, and there's also video game ratings, but they don't talk about this in this way. They're like, always, what if my children play it or something? And it's the simple answer is, don't let your children play it. You know, if you don't want your child playing GTA, don't let them play GTA. And another thing is with music, I enjoy music. I'm more into classic rock, but with some songs nowadays, they have certain choice lyrics, and so if it's a pop song that is in like the mainstream, they don't ever say, oh, this music video, or oh, this lyric is bad. And that's understandable, you know, they don't want to because it's mainstream. But, you know, this kind of thing happens in music as well, where if it's rap or something like that, then, you know, people will scrutinize it. So games aren't alone. There's also that level of scrutiny and that level of examination and like just basically scapegoating. You know, it's just horrible that they treat certain pieces of media unfairly like this for no good reason except to get viewers, because that's all it really is about in the end, is money. Journalism nowadays is no longer reporting the news, it's setting an agenda, and every major outlet will set an agenda, you know? Every single one. It doesn't even matter if they're non-partisan or bipartisan or whatever. They will still set an agenda, and every outlet sets the agenda of the evils, if you will, the quote-unquote evils of gaming. And head-on collision right there. But, so, it's always about the money, and it's always about setting the agenda. And honestly, I don't think that is how journalism should operate. I know it's human nature to always go where the money is, you know, always keep, you know, the bottom line, you know, in mind, always think about money, always think about stuff like that, always think about setting your own views and goals into other people. You know, that's just human nature. It's also human nature to always scapegoat something and try to find an explanation of why something is wrong in society or wrong in one's person. And so video games are an easy target of agendas to set, and honestly, I will flat out say it, since the you know, I'll take the step. Mine is to make a world where video games aren't in this special zone that has to be critically analyzed more than any other piece of artistic entertainment. You know, theirs is to make video games seem like the worst thing ever made. And maybe it's just a thing about the times, because throughout history there's always been something to blame, always been something to say, oh, this is what is causing these violent people, this is what's causing the downfall of society. And I just feel like maybe it is just the times. Maybe something down the line will come and change that. You know, there will be a new form of media. I don't know, interactive movies or something. I don't know. Just there would be a new form of media down the line, and well, then they'll heavily criticize that. But you know, I don't approve of it in any way, no matter what media. If this was happening to music, well, it is sort of, depending on the genre, but if it was also happening to TV, movies, books, I don't care, you know, it's still not right that they heavily criticize something that, instead of, you know, just trying to fix the problem themselves, you know, they're not looking for a solution. There's no solution in this reporting. They just said what the problem was. There's no solution. They're not trying to find a solution so that way they can keep recycling the same thing over and over again and make more money off of it. That's just how it works. And so I just think that they should report fairly. I think maybe we should have just a larger movement where we don't only question games ethics and the ethics of games journalism, but the ethics of journalism entirely. I think the whole journalism scope really needs a new model, a new philosophy, if you will, because the current one we have is broken. And that's the thing, I normally get all my news offline because it's where most honest journalism is done anymore. I mean, sure, you can always find, you know, reports online that are biased, but at the same time, you see people call out wrongdoing. You see people call out wrongdoing. You see people call out just all this bad stuff because it's bad stuff, not because it is unfairly called out as an agenda. So I also wanted to mention that with the YouTube video, that the whole ABC, I don't know who's doing it, whether they have a staff member doing it or an intern or just somebody in the back, but somebody is banning comments, that perfectly good comments mind you. Okay, it's not like you know, these usual YouTube spam. These are perfectly good comments that bring up good reason, you know, good reasoning, good logic. You know, calling out ABC News on how its practices were not good in this. You know, how one-sided the journalism was, and they're banning them. And I have to say that's a cowardly move. Next, you know, oh, accidentally hit the Xbox button. Back to the point. But yeah, so they're banning these comments and not allowing an open discussion. Instead, they're keeping the comments that show the point of view they're trying to show to the world. And I just don't think that's the right way to do things. If you really want a quote-unquote solution to the problem, I just think we should have an open discussion about it. But they don't want to have an open discussion about it. They just want to feed you their agenda. They just want to keep on feeding you until you're stuffed and you can't be filled no more, and you finally just agree with them 100%. That's all they want. They don't want change. They don't want an open discussion about how gaming affects things, if it does. It doesn't want to have an open discussion about games journalism and the ethics of journalism entirely. They don't. They just want to show the side they're trying to show. And it's funny because in the video they did not interview any games journalists whatsoever. Just Anita Sarkeesian and Brenda Wu. You know, just those two. That's it. So I find it funny that, you know, the whole thing was about journalism, but they didn't talk about the journalistic parts of it, and then they practiced bad journalism, which is what's being criticized in this whole thing. You know, they didn't interview one journalist whatsoever, and I just don't think that is how it should be operated at all. I don't approve of it. I wish I could come up with a way to fix this, but I can't. I'm one person, you know. Everybody has to, all sides have to come together to fix this. And in the end of the day, they still won't care. At the end of the day, they've made their money off of the ad revenue from, you know, the TV show, and if they're running ads on YouTube, I'm pretty sure they are. You know, they made money off of that. They made their money. They made their point. There's always gonna be that one concerned parent or that one person that is outside the loop who doesn't know anything about gaming. You know, and they'll reach them, and they've already spread the seeds of their ideas. So it's already too late, honestly. They've already made their point, and when we make ours, as a whole gaming community, we will make our point heard, but they won't care, because at the end of the day, that's all they really care about is the money. You know, I honestly think even the stuff they're saying, the lies that they are spreading, they still don't care if it is a lie and if people believe it or not, because at the end of the day, they still made their money. People still tuned in to watch. And so I think, honestly, change isn't going to happen. As much as I would love for it to happen, as much as I would love gaming to be accepted as a regular piece of media, like movies and books and television. But I feel like at the end of the day, they won't give us the time of day to make it a regular piece of media. And they won't care what happens either way. They'll still make their money. And the only thing that will change is if this whole thing works, and if gaming becomes a mainstream media outlet that isn't basically scrutinized so heavily, that isn't over-examined, that is accepted by everybody, that is accepted as a movie is, or as a piece of music or a piece of literature is. You know, if when the day comes that it is accepted and is no longer the quote-unquote cause of so many tragedies, then the only thing that will change is that the mainstream media will look for a new outlet, they'll look for a new place to get their stories from, and at the end of the day, they'll still make their money. And honestly, that's a little sad that they would rather make money any way possible than to report honestly, give a full story, and deliver the news, which is what they are paid to do. They have their jobs to deliver the news, but they won't. And so I want to end this video with by quoting some song lyrics actually. Green Day's When I Come Around. Great song if you haven't listened to it. You probably have heard it though. They say in the song, you can't go forcing something if it's just not right. And that's the thing. Mainstream media, news outlets like Fox News, CNN, HLN, ABC now, NBC, CBS, all these sources, they're forcing something that isn't right. At the end of the day, that's what's going to continue to happen for many years to come.